Xi Jinping's military parade, once in a decade parade, that is meant to send as much a political message as a military one. It ticked all the right boxes. There were 25 world leaders there standing next to the Chinese president as he inspected the carefully scripted spectacle. The Chinese president was in fact, on top of the Chinese-made limousine, showing Chinese weaponry and Chinese intent to create an alternate world order. Two, what mattered in terms of how much of this is now going to be Trump's own doing is a separate matter. But let's first get you what really stood out as far as this parade is concerned and why it mattered for everyone around the world to take a look. Let's get you those 5 key takeaways that tell you all about the Victory Day parade. First and foremost, in terms of why it mattered, missiles over carriers. This was a strategy that was reshaped as far as China is concerned. There was a lot of focus about the intercontinental ballistic missiles, and it mattered more simply because that area, Tiananmen Square, had the world's largest nuclear stockpile countries. There was China, there was Russia, there was North Korea, which is why missiles is all that mattered. The next key aspect of this, which was that it was the biggest parade, and AI, in fact, played a very key role. This is now as much about technology as it is about weaponry. And weaponry going forward is going to be all about unmanned vehicles, unmanned weapons, where military men will be sitting back on their consoles dictating how the technology-enabled machinery is going to move around. And that was on display here. Next up, the other key aspect of the takeaway here was that drones were there, and however, battlefield proof is something that still remains, simply because China hasn't fought a war in over 2 generations. The last proper war it fought was with the Vietnamese. Since then, it has made huge military strides. Of course, all of that was on display in Tiananmen Square. That included drones as well. That included some of the finest weaponry, but it's still untested on the battlefield. Next up, the other key takeaway. This was really the big aspect of what this meeting and this show of solidarity was all about, which was Xi Jinping flanked by Vladimir Putin and Kim Jong Un, the North Korean dictator, the Russian autocrat and the Chinese autocrat. And they haven't come together for the last 66 years. This was a spectacle that was last seen in the heat of the Cold War. And that is why that big photo op, that big headline is still one of the key aspects of what the military parade was all about. Next up, lastly, weapons parade also doubled up as far as sales pitch is concerned. Of course, China would be looking to ensure that a large part of these weapons, which will be mass produced, could be sent off to the 25 other countries who had come there to participate. That also included some European countries. It included NATO allies as well, and those who were wanting to be part of the EU as well.